It comes crashing to a halt for the Tucson Roadrunners, but hope springs eternal for many in the Utah Hockey Club. We'll tell you what's going on coming up and who's still going to be on the ice. This is the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast.
You are Locked On Utah Hockey Club, your daily podcast on the Utah Hockey Club, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome in once again to the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. I'm veteran NHL voice Tom Callahan, and joined by longtime team analyst Robyn Leaño. We break it down for you each and every day right here on the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast, talking about everything from picks and prospects to analysis, insight, and more. We've got a great coverage schedule coming up here through the offseason. Plus, we will keep you updated on what's going on in the NHL and the Stanley Cup Playoffs as well. So there's plenty to talk about right on through to the summer, the draft, and free agency. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every single day. Today's show is brought to you in part by Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. Robyn, it all came crashing down for Tucson. We're going to start there. The baby hockey clubbers, we had hope, right? Last time you and I talked, and the most dangerous of all things, we had hope because Tucson came up with a massive response in game two.
They really did. You know, the game two gave me a lot of hope for a lot of different things because it looked like it felt like the tide was turning. It felt like they had a really good stranglehold. They kind of figured things out. Jackson Stauber had an absolute phenomenal game. And we're like, okay, everything is turning right. Plus, as I mentioned earlier, there has been previous of these teams playing well, or at least the Tucson Roadrunners playing well against the Abbotsford Canucks. So I was like, okay, you know what? Bring on game three, and then fingers crossed that bring on the Colorado Eagles in the division semifinals, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, I was hopeful too, because here's the other thing too. There were a couple of guys who went down, and you mentioned Stauber played incredibly well. And again, short series especially, and in this first round, it was best of three. Goalies can steal you a series.
Mm-hmm.
All they have to do is play well twice, and Stauber gave him one. Couldn't give him the second one. But I thought Kyler Yamamoto had a chance to pinch in, especially being in a spot where it's kind of hit or miss as to whether or not I think they will bring him back next year. That might have been the chance to kind of prove to the Utah Hockey Club, hey, I deserve a full-time shot next year. Look, every player wants a full-time shot, right? Let's not kid ourselves. Everybody wants to be in the lineup every single day. Listen to Michael Carcone. That's the reason he's leaving, because he thinks he deserves to be in the lineup every single day and needs to earn that somewhere. So I think Yamamoto is another guy who we're looking at. Is he coming back? Maybe, and it may not be his choice, but it also might be his choice. I like the player, Robyn. I just don't know if they need another of that type of player.
Yeah, you're right. And I think especially too with now the next slew of prospects being ready to come in the next going into the next year, that like maybe there is no longer a need for a player like Yamamoto in this franchise. And again, not saying that he wasn't useful. He was incredibly useful, right? He was a great player. Absolutely loved having him, but sometimes you just see you see that that's the case. But
and only 26. That's the other thing too.
Yeah.
So I mean, certainly not giving up on NHL dreams and aspirations yet. It might be different if we're talking about someone who's 32, 33, who might look in the mirror and say, you know what, maybe I can become that teaching AHL veteran, stay around the game I love, be a part of an organization, and then think about a life after hockey. No, we're talking about a player who still has prime years in front of him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right. We're talking like really just entering in that prime, right? I think usually analysts considered kind of 27, 28 to be kind of that beginning of prime before, and then you get peaks and like right around, and then it will peak at around like 29, 30, and then slowly go down after that. But
well, some guys, I mean,
yeah, some are extreme late bloomers, and they will have their best seasons after 35, but that's incredibly rare.
Yep. And then you have the occasional Chris Chelios who plays to like 48, 49 years old. So those guys are very rare, but I mean, hey, I don't know if I foresee that in this particular case. Let's just put that out there, but there could be 3, 4 full NHL seasons in there somewhere. And with the right opportunity. And I think that's, here's the other thing for Tucson as a whole, as a team, this year and the playoff run, even though it was a short one, building into next year, because Robyn, as you mentioned, and a great point, more prospects are coming. And to be honest with you, I don't know if it's going to be this coming year, but maybe, and it might be 25, 26, but 26, 27, perhaps. That American Hockey League team is going to be loaded. They're going to be really, really good.
I mean, like I've already mentioned to you the prospect of having Shemishev and Boots on the Tucson Roadrunners in 25, 26. So, and that already is a significant, step.
One player in particular that I was excited for, and now I think it's been put back a year, is TJ Ginlaw.
There we go.
Because of the injury, missing significant time, I think curtailed a lot of development for Ginlaw that was expected this year in the Western Hockey League. That not his fault, I mean, things happen. But when you miss that kind of chunk of time, I mean, and not that you can't have a phenomenal camp again, and, as a young player, make a team out of camp, but I think just getting back up to speed, after missing that much time with a shoulder injury that required surgery and substantial recovery, I think they're not going to rush anything. And probably you see him go back to junior. And I don't think that would have been the original plan with a full healthy season this year.
Yeah, I would have probably, I mean, what we still very could see, at least this year, is maybe they'll do the 10-game tryout period, that they give to a lot of those rookies. They're like, hey, we don't want to burn your first year at USC, but we want to give you some NHL time, so we'll give you 10 games before we send you back.
Well, they give them 9, right? Because once you hit the 10th game, so for those who don't know, actually, this is a very good point, Robyn. This is a good moment here. On an entry-level contract, the clock starts ticking once they play their 10th NHL game. So that is the key number. That's why you will hear that 10-game mark mentioned in October and November for players. They'll say, well, he's appeared in 5, he's appeared in 6.
Which is what made it super interesting too, with the if you remember this, and then I was kind of going off, like way off tangent on this one, Tom, but if you remember the situation that went behind with the Seattle Kraken and Shane Wright. Remember, they just kind of like scratching Shane Wright or having him on the
in the press box,
having him injured for those games, but because he didn't skate, they didn't count, and because of the injuries, also didn't count. And then because he was gone so long, got sent down to Coachella Valley because conditioning,
right?
Because that was that's the only reason that a CHL player who has under 20 can go down to the AHL is for conditioning. And it was a whole mess with how the whole Shane Wright situation was handled. But that's a really different example there. But yeah, but for the most part, if those that remember a long time Coyotes fans, for example, know where Dylan Guenther passed his 10, even past 20, went to half a season before they sent him back to juniors, which, by the way, because he was, like I mentioned, because he was still under 20 years old, he hadn't reached his 20th birthday yet, he had to get sent back down to the WHL.
If you're a North American player and a junior team has your rights, you have to go back to junior. If you're a European player, Russian, Czech, it's different. So that, in case you wonder why, hey, why is this 18-year-old over here playing from,
Yeah.
wherever?
Is that also the case of the USHL? I can't remember. I don't think the USHL has that rule.
No, the
No.
USHL, as far as I know, does not.
Yeah. Most USHL graduates end up going to play for college, anyways. Though
They do.
If they don't go to, if a USHL player gets drafted and they're not going to go back to the USHL, they're going to go to play for college.
Yes.
As in the case, for example, we're going Utah players here. In Josh Stone, after he got drafted straight, by the then Arizona Coyotes from the Chicago Steelheads, he goes and makes a commitment to play for Arizona State for the next season, and then makes the jump on over to Tucson.
Yep, and that's what we get to look forward to here, maybe over the summer, seeing some of those players figure out where they're going to play and where they're going to go. So. But the Roadrunners eliminated, and so that is the end of the Calder Cup playoff run for the Tucson Roadrunners. And so now the entire Utah Hockey Club tree has called it a summer. So sad though it may be, exciting even in the 3-game series against Abbotsford, but they ultimately lose it 2-1. All right, Robyn and I are going to talk about the men's Worlds coming up here on May 9th. We're going to talk a little bit about that, give you a bit of a primer for that. And of course, we're going to talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs as well. So stay tuned. There's more coming your way here in just a moment. And today's show is brought to you in part by Monarch Money. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Well, between dining out and online shopping and entertainment, it's pretty easy, actually, to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You track all your accounts, your investments, and your spending in one place. So you stop managing your money and you can start building wealth. So, when I started using Monarch, it highlights where your high areas of spending are, whether it's streaming services or food delivery or whatever. And it kind of puts a light bulb on over your head. You understand a bit more where your expenditures are going. So now it enables you to budget smarter and therefore save more money, which is great. And instead of juggling multiple apps, because I was bouncing between credit card app, a bank app, all this other stuff, everything's in Monarch Money now. And I can check my finances, track my spending, and even plan long-term goals with Monarch Money. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use our code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com. You have to use it on the website, monarchmoney.com, for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Tom Callahan, Robyn Leaño, Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. Thanks for joining us. Please subscribe if you're here, you're still listening, and you like what you hear, what you see. Tell your friends. We are available on YouTube and everywhere you can get a podcast. We are the podcast for the hockey people. So that's, I don't know. Maybe that, I'm trying out the tagline, Robyn. We'll see if that sticks or not. Probably not.
We're for all of the Utahns.
Yes. And even people who aren't in Utah. You know what? If you like the team, just listen, subscribe, just click, just be here, hang out, have some fun with us, especially in the summer. We have a lot of fun stuff planned coming up for the summer. And we are, as a matter of fact, Robyn and I were just talking about planning our summer content calendar here. A lot of, looking back, looking ahead. It's what's exciting, Robyn, is we're in a time of growth. It was a very fun first season. Yes, it was a little disappointing on the ice, but it was still growth from where they were beforehand, and it's only looking up.
It really is. And I'll say, as someone who's been covering this team for a really long time, can say that, like, last year was fun because, hey, we were kind of introducing a lot of you guys to this team. We were introducing a lot of you guys to hockey. We were doing a lot of fun stuff for the inaugural season to gear you guys up for that. Now we know a lot of you guys are vets at this point, right? We all know that. We all know you guys love the sport. We all know, like, we don't have to draw the lines. You guys, we're out here kind of really now breaking things down, going really in depth, going through all the crazy stuff as fully expecting you guys are true hockey fans, which makes it fun for me, Tom, because previously my biggest, outside of course last year too, my biggest things I had to talk about every single summer was where are the Arizona Coyotes going to be playing in the next season, and it was so stressful.
Right? You enjoyed it. I could tell. I can feel the joy of relocation.
I think I still have some gray hairs left from that, but
oh my goodness. Yeah, you can only laugh so much, and then you just start crying over that. And I know the NHL will be back in Phoenix one day.
Yeah,
they absolutely will.
And again, for the leftover Arizona Coyotes fans still listening, I still love you guys, and I still love hockey in Arizona. I still think it has a huge, there is a huge importance to the sport there. But we're doing the Utah show, and we're having a fun time doing it. A really fun time doing this show.
We are. It is a good time. And you know what? What's fun, too, is that the Stanley Cup playoffs are not the only important hockey going on right now. We're about to jump into the IIHF Men's World Championship. Now, the women's will be going on as well, but hundreds of thousands of fans in attendance, worldwide TV coverage. And let me tell you, this tournament is, without a doubt, more important in Europe than it is in the United States or North America. Okay, just know that up front. If you were
it happens in tandem with the Stanley Cup playoffs, so
right. So I mean, it's a big deal in Europe. I mean, this is second only, honestly, to the Olympics every 4 years. It's a big deal. But it's going to kick off on May 9th. It'll wrap up by May 25th. So it's 16 teams in the tournament. Okay, there's a Group A and a Group B, so 8 in each. So that neatly fills out a bracket, right? The first 11 days of the tournament, teams participate in a round robin, and they face every team in their group. So 3 points can come out of each game. So it's 3 for a regulation win, which is something I wish the NHL would do. 3 for a regulation win, 2 for an overtime win, and 1 for an overtime loss. So, and then at the end of the preliminary round, the top 4 teams in each group advance to the quarterfinal stage. That starts May 22nd. So after that, in the quarterfinals, it goes from there. So it goes from 4 to 2 to 1. And then on May 25th, you're going to get your gold and bronze medal games. So here are the groups, Robyn. Let me know which group, and let us know in the comments, which group do you think is the tougher group? I'm curious to get your thoughts.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay. Group A will play the preliminary round in Stockholm, Sweden. Group A, Austria, Canada, Finland, France, Latvia, Slovakia, Slovenia, and Sweden. Group B, which will play in Herning, Denmark for its preliminary round games, is Czechia, Denmark, Germany, Hungary, Kazakhstan, Norway, Switzerland, and the United States.
Ooh, honestly, that's a tough one because, you have the power 6 split almost evenly there, but I want to say trying to think about that one there. It's a tough one. I think with Group A, because Sweden's in there, and I think that's all you have to say, because Sweden is outside of the U.S. and Canada, and of course Russia, who can't participate in international play still. Sweden's your next best. Sweden is always up there among the top.
So Group A with Canada, Finland, Sweden, I think it's going to be difficult, but I also think here's why I think Group B is better.
Okay,
because I think Group A is everybody fighting for one spot, right? I mean, Austria, France, Latvia, Slovakia, Slovenia, you guys are all fighting for one spot. Group B, wide open. I think the U.S. will be one of the teams that advances out of Group B.
Czechia would probably be another.
Well, Czechia, but I would put money on Germany, but you can't look past Kazakhstan or Switzerland or Norway.
True. No, you're right.
And I don't know much about Hungary. I'll be honest with you. Denmark, They can be surprisingly competitive. They have a couple of NHLers and ex-NHLers that'll be on that team. I am curious to see if Hungary is a team that can punch above its weight class. But I think Group B is kind of way more open than Group A. And that's kind of dangerous to the United States. I think they'll get by, don't get me wrong, but that could be very interesting.
It made me think, Tom, just overall, because I know like it's most of it's going to go back to Stockholm later on. Like it's kind of Stockholm's going to be the primary site, host site here. It made me think of, it's like, I wonder how much a last minute plane ticket to Stockholm will cost me. Probably a lot.
I imagine it's not cheap, but you know what, Robyn? While you tell everybody, the Utah Hockey Club players that are on Team USA and Czechia, I'm going to go ahead and just look up flights, just real quick. I'm going to look up just
for the heck of it. I mean, we talked already about the representation for Team USA. We talked about the trio, seeing Clayton Keller, Logan Cooley, and Michael Kesselring. I mean, to me, obviously, we talked about. I mean, how excited I am to see the dynamic duo of Keller and Cooley together, but also the our fearless goalie Karel Vejmelka playing for Czechia. So I think that's going to be a huge one.
Robyn, if you want to go to Stockholm from Salt Lake City for a week, if you want to fly Tuesday to Tuesday, which would include the weekend of the final of the Worlds, the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of May. So you'd leave on Tuesday, the 20th.
Okay.
And you would be back on Tuesday, the 27th. The lowest airfare I'm finding round trip is $833.
Okay. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
That's actually not bad. I'm not going to give airline names or anything like that, but I will tell you that I just used a major popular search engine just to go find those. So it won't be that tough. I will tell you, though, that your flight time is going to be between 21 and 24 hours, depending on which option you pick. So just know that.
I just got to figure out the same thing for our Arizona friends, because I know there were still some Arizona fans still listening.
Well, let's go ahead. Hang on. Let me change my departure city.
Yeah, I don't think it'll take too much time, right? It's all for fun.
Let's see here. I'm just curious, and it does seem to be Tuesday to Tuesday. Oh, about the same price, $833.
Okay.
So not much difference if you're flying out of Phoenix or you're flying out of Salt Lake. Who's going to Stockholm?
Hey,
can you imagine?
Hey, David Locke, do you want to send me to Stockholm?
Oh my goodness. You know what? You would have to be the one to go too, because my passport needs to be renewed. So it would have to be you.
And I did just get my passport renewed, right? Back in December. So
you're ready. Like I am not. I need to renew mine. So that's
and plus I've already talked to Tom off the air just today how I really want to go over to the Scandinavian countries and just take just immerse in the culture over there. So
can everybody email David Locke for Robyn? just blow up David Locke and be like, hey, we need to send Robyn to Stockholm. David, get off your wallet. It's not that expensive. Robyn can go, and I'm sure there's got to be a hotel deal over there. That would be phenomenal. Number one, I would be so jealous if you went, but number two, good for you. That would be amazing. So
that would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. All that's
huge opportunity.
Yes. Fantastic opportunity. All right. All that's starting on May 9th. If you have any questions about the World Championships, throw them in the comments or reach out to us on social media. We're happy to try to answer those as best as we can for you. As the tournament gets closer, we will have broadcast and streaming information for you on that as well. All right, one more break, and then we're going to talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs, where everybody is right now. We're going to focus on the Western Conference and let you know where we stand here. It's actually gotten kind of interesting, so stay tuned.
And today's episode is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you keep your fuller longer. I'm personally of having the ones at the shelves. I love the feeling of cracking open, really, those pistachios, the salty goodness, the savoriness to me. It's absolutely really satisfying aspect to it. But if I'm on a long road trip, if I'm traveling between, let's say, Phoenix to Salt Lake City or Phoenix to San Francisco, really those long, like 10+ hour road trips, which I do pretty often, I like to have those no shells because it's an easy grab and go snack. I don't really have to worry, don't have to think too much. It allows me to keep my eyes on the road and keep my attention focused on just driving and not really anything else. Plus, again, they're really delicious. They're really good grab and go snack to absolutely have. Get snacking and go cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. And today's episode also brought to you by Post District. Discover Post District, home to 4 of Salt Lake's newest and most stylish apartment buildings. The Register, Post House North, Post House South, and 801 Flats. Each residence offers its own unique taste on luxury urban living with features like waterfall kitchen islands, floor-to-ceiling windows, vaulted ceilings, and spacious patios and walk-in closets. Enjoy premium amenities, including the city's largest residential gym, a year-round pool, golf simulator, massive TV wall for sports watch parties, and more, all anchored by a one-of-a-kind community. Step outside and find yourself immersed in Salt Lake's hottest dining and nightlife scene, with awarding many spots like Urban Hill, Mencho Ramen, Level Crossing, Melancholy Wine Bar, and Sunday's Best just steps away. Whether you're looking for a studio, 1, 2, 3-bedroom, or penthouse, find your perfect home today. Visit liveatpost.com or call 801-590-6247. Mention this ad for an exclusive incentive.
Tom Callahan, Robyn Leaño back here with you in the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. And yes, please reach out to us. Let us know what you think. Hey, if you have any topics you want to hear us tackle on the show, we already have gotten a couple, Robyn. And I just want to say thanks to everyone who does contribute. We absolutely love hearing from the fans. Robyn is a big fan of her fans, I think.
Yeah,
that
makes sense.
It's a mutual admiration society. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love all you guys. And I think it's the support just really means a lot to me. It really does.
And I can second that. Yes, it does. It does mean a lot. So thank you for those of you who are very supportive, and we very much appreciate it. So, Robyn, let's talk a little Stanley Cup playoffs here before we put a lid on this one here for this episode here today. Western Conference. I'm going to be honest with you. Taking a look at a couple of things coming in, I'm just going to start and kind of give a couple of overviews here, but figured that the Winnipeg-St. Louis series could have been interesting from the start because Winnipeg comes in with the curse of the President's Trophy. They were the best defensive team in the league, but St. Louis was the hottest team coming down the stretch. And I thought if anybody was on upset watch, it could have been Winnipeg. And as it turns out, that series is tied at 2 now, and St. Louis actually looks like they're playing pretty well.
I mean, series tied at 2 with St. Louis having won this game 4, which really is a momentum shifter and they're winning a game 4 to kind of bring it back tied at a 5-1 score. I mean, if that doesn't scream momentum shifting, that's I don't know what does.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the Oilers-Kings series. I told you it was going to be my favorite of the first round. It's my favorite of the first round. And that one is just, it's really interesting. I saw something online I thought was pretty funny where someone posted a picture of Stuart Skinner and it said, apparently the Kings have found Stuart Skinner's weakness through scouting. It's shots on goal. So I thought that was pretty good, especially for a team that never went out and got a goaltender. But it's not going to be an easy close for the Kings in this series, but I do think they've shown themselves to be the better team. So that one I don't think is going to take very long. However, Robyn, another one that I'm actually a little surprised at is Dallas and the Colorado Avalanche. I really thought the way Dallas ended the regular season with the injuries they have and all the problems they seem to have had down the stretch.
And also after game 1.
Correct. That might have been a bit of a walk for Colorado, and that is not the case.
It's a tie series for that one as well. And to me, Tom, I think what this is really showing to a lot of us is just how much, parity there is in the Western Conference. It's amazing. I love the Western Conference. It's, it's what makes it really fun. And not to say that Eastern Conference doesn't have some interesting games, but I mean, you just take a look at the comparison too, where you see where you have that, where the Stars are actually still button up heads with the Avalanche. But in the Eastern Conference, what we're seeing is 3-1 series, which is like 2-2. Even at one point, I think what Maple Leafs had a
3-0. They had a
chance. It was 3-0. They had a chance to sweep, but they didn't because it's the Leafs. But
right. Yes. For sure. That is, yeah. I'm just gonna let that alone. Yeah, we'll just sidestep that one. So that's where that series is, 3-1. Ottawa had to win in overtime, by the way, in Game 4. Speaking of overtime, Minnesota Wild lost to Vegas in OT. It's now 2-2 in that series, but I am pretty impressed with the showing for Minnesota here against Vegas.
I'm with you on that. I think especially because we were all skeptical of Minnesota going into the playoffs because they were on a sliding course to potentially make it not in the playoffs. Right. I mean, it would have taken a lot for them not to make it in after being such high in the earlier, around the halfway point in the season. But there was that risk that was there. It looked like they could have just slipped out completely. And they finally caught some fire at the right time. I wouldn't say fire is the right term, but they definitely kind of found a little bit more stride and found a little more stability. I mean, it's nice to see.
Yes. And then real quick in the East, I mean, a lot of the 3-1 series, I mean, Toronto's going to polish off Ottawa eventually. Washington's going to beat Montreal. Carolina's going to beat New Jersey. New Jersey's been absolutely absent in this postseason. But the Battle of Florida, that's interesting because the home team hasn't won yet. So I'm kind of interested to see how that one's going to work out here. That's a very rare circumstance, but I mean, Robyn, would you be shocked if that went 7?
No, not at all. I mean, we're talking about the defending Stanley Cup champs versus just earlier this decade back-to-back Stanley Cup champs. Like they're already both still, even though they lost a couple of players down the road, still phenomenal hockey teams.
Yeah, that's going to be a battle, and the winner of that series is going to face Toronto most likely, unless Ottawa has a miracle comeback, and Toronto is going to be well rested. So I'm not saying it's going to, and there's always,
but I mean, when was the last, have any of us in this lifetime seen the Toronto Maple Leafs win 2 rounds of playoff hockey?
I have, and I saw it in 1993. I'm trying to think if I've seen it since 1993, but Toronto did go all the way to the back then, what would be now the Western Conference Final. They were in the Western Conference back in the day because the NHL was a geographical nightmare. But they played the LA Kings, Wayne Gretzky's LA Kings. The Kings got into the Stanley Cup Final that year, and they met the Montreal Canadiens. The Canadiens beat the Kings.
Was it even Western versus Eastern at that point?
93. No, it was Wales and Campbell. But that's why I was trying to simplify for people who might not have been around the game that long. That was back in the old Wales and Campbell Conference. That was a Campbell Conference final between the Kings and the Leafs. So that's what I'm saying. It wasn't even geographical back then. That was when you had the Smythe and the Patrick and the Norris and the Adams divisions. So that was how that all worked out. And that was the last time I remember Toronto won 2 rounds and then lost in the conference final. Otherwise, it would have been a Toronto-Montreal Stanley Cup final that year. That would have been interesting. But, they lost to Barry Melrose coached Wayne Gretzky and the LA Kings with Kelly Rudy in net. And I believe Marty McSorley was on that team. That was actually a really good Kings team, but Montreal won and kept their streak alive at the time, which would then die in the next decade. But during the 1900s, the Montreal Canadiens were the only team to win a Stanley Cup at least once in every single decade of the century. How's that for trivia?
Interesting. When you said 1900s, my brain went pretty far back, even though it was only not that not that long ago, but it still feels like it's such a long time ago. Like,
It does feel like a long time ago. It wasn't yesterday. I can tell you
heck,
that much.
I have kids tell me I was old when I was being ordered, and I was born in the late 90s. Like, and I'm like, please stop.
You're just a wee bairn. You're just wee. You're young. Stay young.
I know, but kids don't make me do that.
Kids these days. Kids. Unless you're a kid listening to this podcast, then of course you're welcome. Thank you. Please come back.
We love you.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that. So Robyn, anything else you want to add about the Stanley Cup playoffs right now? Any major surprises for you?
I mean, major surprises, you know, I'd say not a whole lot. I think a lot of these kind of going in the ways I did think they'd go. I mean, not completely. There was some that still kind of surprised, but I just want to see how much stamina the Wild do have. More specifically is like, what is the how much of the farewell Marc-Andre Fleury factor is going to play a role in these playoffs?
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, how much is it win one for the Flower for Minnesota? If I'll tell you what, if Minnesota knocks out Vegas, all bets are off. Like then the West is
Cracked open.
What happens if St. Louis and Minnesota win? Vegas and Winnipeg are out.
Chaos. I love it.
Yes. Robyn, agent of chaos. Yes, that'd be something. But hey, it could happen the way the series are going right now. You never know. So the West is definitely going to take longer than the East to sort itself out. That's for sure. I think the West is a lot more up for grabs. The East is pretty, I think, with the exception of the Battle of Florida, we know who our next 4 teams are going to be. So
at this point, and I want to say, you don't want to say which specific team, but which conference do you see taking the cup?
I still think it'll be the West. I really do. And that was my pick from the beginning of the year. I picked Winnipeg when all the other Locked On hosts were sitting there saying the Jets weren't going to make the playoffs. And I had to take them all to task on that show. Robyn, when will they learn? But anyway,
at this point.
Oh my goodness. I bet you they don't. I bet you next year they're still picking Winnipeg to not be in the playoffs. Because the sheep follow the herd, man. That's what I'm saying. The sheep follow the herd. Don't be a sheep. Listen to this show. Be smart. Be educated. We will tell you what's up. So, all right. Robyn, where can they find us on social media if they want to reach out and know what's up?
You can find us just about everywhere. We're on the app formerly known as Twitter at LO_NHL Utah. You can also find us on Blue Sky at Locked On Utah Hockey. I'm on Twitter at Robyn_Leaño and on Blue Sky at Robyn Icetime. Okay.
Let's see. If you want to find me, Blue Sky. Blue Sky is the place. At Tom Talks. That's where I am 99% of the time. I do still have a Twitter at Callahan on air, and I will always call it Twitter. So there. All right. Again, if you haven't subscribed already, we ask that you please do so and tell your friends and let them know that, hey, we're still churning out great content every single day, right up through the draft, right up through free agency. We're going to be here with you every day. Thank you. We appreciate it very much. So for Robyn, I'm Tom. This has been the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast.